EVTOL Weekly, EVTOL Weekly. We're coming up to a year of EVTOL Weekly. Absolutely love it. And already 21 people waiting in the stream. Absolutely love it, guys. My name's
Awesome.
Ian. I am one of the Hustle Brothers here. Look, we've got the pilot. We've got Mr. Juicy Fruit, the man himself. We've got Mark. Guys, this is going to be an exciting one. So do jump into the comments. Do steer our stream. Mark, it's been a wild week. Archer took a bit of a step back. Joby was sitting quite flat, but Horizon Aircraft, my guy, 14%.
Good week for Horizon. Real good week for Horizon.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. Guys, let us know, what price do you get in like Horizon? Now, we have Tom Mycelli straight into the chat. Hello, everyone. Yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of Hurricane Helene. I'm proud of the resilience of our community in WNC, yourself included, Mark. Do you know what? Big shout out to you guys. I hate any sort of natural disaster, so big shout out to a lot of you guys.
You know, and to that topic, let me just touch on that. It's fortuitous that Tom even mentioned that, because I am right now on the shores of Lake James, and a year ago when Helene hit, this entire bay was filled full of debris. It was literally cataclysmic. And now, it's just this beautiful, serene view once again. So I can't say enough for the resiliency of the people of Western North Carolina and Georgia and South Carolina, just that were all impacted by that horrible weather event.
It kind of like ties in with the Cavorite X7 and what they plan to do with this medical evacuation, can fly in all types of weather conditions. Would it be capable to fly in I'm not saying hurricane force, but like post hurricane?
So yeah, I would expect that it would probably have a similar operational capability as a helicopter, um, in terms of just being able to fly in winds of, like what are your crosswinds and whatnot. A helicopter may actually have a little bit more flexibility. I'm not sure. That would be a fantastic question to ask Brandon, or if we ever get anybody from Joby and Archer on, what are those capabilities? I know from a pilot standpoint, an airplane has a crosswind component, to where how strong of a crosswind can you land in, and that is something that is like posted in the airplane when you go and fly it. And it's funny, that was that maximum 90-degree crosswind component on landing is what was demonstrated by a test pilot back in the type certification phase. So anything past that, you are kind of your own test pilot. But all of these crafts, that goes into the operational capabilities and what they may potentially be able to do. But a Joby, an Archer, the Cabaret X7, any one of those platforms would have made a drastic impact to the positive in an event like Hurricane Helene, or any natural disaster that society would experience. Being able to get those flying craft in and landing, and then getting out and getting survivors out, or getting people who need attention, or just moving product. That was the biggest thing we saw a year ago. The outskirt airports, like the airport that I fly into, which is Rutherfordton, North Carolina. That was just on the outskirts of the I guess you could call the disaster zone, where you could not get into. And general aviation pilots were then flying in their own private airplanes supplies to that airport, and then from there, in the very, very beginning, you had private helicopter pilots. There was a lot of great stories how you had private helicopter pilots from the Charlotte area that owned helicopters, and they said, "No, we're going to go help these people," and they would go up and deliver supplies or rescue people that were cut off. So as we get further along in this concept of human mobility, this new concept of human mobility and product mobility using drones, using vertical takeoff assets, whether they're hybrid or electrical, they're going to make a significant impact. It will save lives.
Yeah, what we'll do, I'm going to touch on Horizon quite a bit later because we are going to dive into that a little bit more, and we do have an upcoming interview with Brandon very, very soon. So what I've been doing, I've been diving around all different interviews Brandon's been doing at the moment. I've been finding out actually quite a bit of information I didn't know myself, and we will touch on that later. But I'm trying to find what do we not know. Now, there's quite a bit we don't know about the company, but what sort of nuggets do we not know that we can go down the breadcrumbs and actually ask Brandon and get some clarification on it? But I want to jump back to ACHR Aviation right now because it's a hot topic going around the ACHR Aviation community. So it was Louis Archer on X, and then ACHR Daily posted it as well. The FAA officially declares ACHR Aviation's N704AX Model 001 serial number 2 aircraft registered on September 26, 25. This indicates that it is complete and ready for the FAA flight test. Piloted vertical flight test can begin. Now, everyone's getting quite excited about this. How solid evidence is this of vertical flight test taking place and transitional pilot test taking place, Mark?
I mean, it could be profound. If their first aircraft was not capable of that, we touched on this back when they started bringing a pilot into the loop, and they were just doing conventional takeoff and landing flights. And there was a lot of speculation as to why they weren't converting. And I came out and said, well, it could just be the control logic. It could be they've not updated their software yet. They may not just be completely along with their gauntlet testing. And potentially now with this next serial number that's coming into the flight test fleet, that they may have reached that milestone, and now we could potentially start seeing that. It is just another flight test aircraft, so it's an experimental aircraft, even though it's registered. You know, every aircraft gets a registration with the FAA to fly in the airspace. But I don't want anybody on the channel to be fooled. Like, oh, they've certified an airplane. No, they've not certified an airplane. Its certification is experimental, and they will continue to be doing envelope expansion and doing company tests, and potentially start doing certification tests with that airframe.
And then, look, I'm trying to include absolutely everyone at the moment. So with ACHR there, it's going to tie in a little bit with Joby Aviation. So we have seen Joby Aviation are going attending, what is the summit called? UPS Summit. And that is based in Salinas. What else is based in Salinas? We have one of the ACHR Aviation headquarters there. Could you see ACHR making an appearance? Should they make an appearance? Well, they should, but
I mean, if I was ACHR, I would. It's if it's a public air show,
you've no excuse not to be there.
Yeah, show up at someone else's party. I know that there is a lot of speculation right now as to how much Joby will be showing off their capabilities at the Salinas Air Show. I believe it's here in the next week. So you have the event in Salinas, and then you also have events in Osaka, Japan as well.
Yeah.
So Joby's, I think there's going to be a lot of potential press coming out, just of what their capabilities are. I think Joby has already demonstrated most of their capabilities, but what you might start seeing is multiple aircraft coming in, almost like what you would anticipate seeing on scheduled flights. where one could come in, land, take off, go off, and then another one will come in and land, take off, and leave again to demonstrate the concept. Or maybe one will come in and land, they'll do a recharge the batteries, and then basically demonstrating their operational capabilities to this point. I think that would be really big for Joby to get that out into the public and to demonstrate those capabilities that they've been working on for a long time.
Yeah, we've seen like an up push in PR coming out of Joby, and I think I could say the first 6 months of eVTOL Weekly, we were beating down Joby for not having enough PR, and we were trying to say that they were just keeping their head down until they have something to release, and we were saying Archer is giving too much PR away. But now it feels like the tables have turned. However, because Joby has actually done the hard work behind it, look, their PR just hits so much different. When you're seeing piloted transitions, you're seeing it HOVR. Oh, mate, it's just getting so exciting now at this stage. We're coming into the final phase of that certification. The whole market's gonna go wild once that actually gets approved. Then I think we're gonna get quite a bit of a sell-off when people actually realize, you know what, this is not the end game. This is only the start of what an actual business is. I'm going to jump back straight into the comments. We have Joel Williams said, went to start a position in HOVR on Friday, but woke up and the stock was up 15%. We'll see how the stock goes this week. My God, you know what? Because it's such a small market cap, that thing could just keep climbing. Like, they only have to bring out any sort of news whatsoever, and it's going to push the stock up even higher. It doesn't take much to move this stock. I don't know. I'd just be careful. If you want to get into Horizon, I just think you need to get in. I don't actually think you should care about price at this stage, because where we believe the company's going, you're expecting about 100x. And I don't say that lightly. But
yeah, in market cap, it would have to be 100x if they're going to compete.
Yeah,
and they have they are in a league of their own. So as of right now, they are the only player in that league, particularly of use cases and capabilities. So their only downfall at this point is, I honestly think, is our upside as retail investors. They are at the beginning stages, so their market cap is low, but as they continue to prove out their capabilities, and Brandon did an interview just this past week and said we're anticipating in the next 3 to 6 months explosive growth or explosive news.
yeah.
Shout out to and then he just did an interview with Matan, and really want to shout out to Matan. It was a fantastic interview. If anybody in the channel has not listened to it, search out Matan and listen to that interview, because it was a great interview by them. But Matan asked him particularly about that Brandon's statement of explosive growth, and he didn't signal, we're lining up a partnership with anybody or anything, but he just said, if you just read the tea leaves of where we are at in our development, there's just have nothing but opportunity in front of us.
Guys, what you got to remember too, with a stock that has such a low valuation at the moment, these extreme pushes in the price, it just strengthens the whole company more and more. Because if Brandon actually has to go to the market and actually raise capital, they're going to get a lot of bang for their buck, yet you're still going to be heavily profitable. So look, at the moment it's all green. I don't want to tell anyone to jump in and buy it. You make your own decision. This is not financial advice whatsoever. It's going well so far, but I do have to highlight, with such a small market cap, these things can go down like a hammer too. So just be careful out there. We are pushing back into a bull market in the eVTOL space. So I don't know.
And the thing with Joby is, or not Joby, with HOVR, is you're probably not going to see news similar to what Joby and ACHR is releasing in their product development because they're in the product development phase. But what we could see is different investors coming online, or similar to look at what their stock did when they announced that they were teaming with MT Props to produce their propellers. They could come out with another announcement saying, yes, we've formally announced that we're going to use the Pratt & Whitney PT6 engine, which they've already said they're going to use. But that could be something that would be formalized and showing just their progression in their in the design phase, or they could start maybe releasing different suppliers that they're going to bring online for their build out. All of these are, I think, progress that we'll see in the next probably 6 months to a year compared to rollout of an airplane and actually seeing demonstration, just because they're not there yet. But once again, as I said, this is all upside for us as retail investors getting in this early.
This is a bit of a wild question, and I think Horizon investors are going to hate me for even calling for this, but if you've seen a nice run in this stock, would you be calling for Brandon to dilute, put some cash away for a rainy day while the sun's shining, do make hay? Or do you want it to run up until they need the capital?
Yeah, personally, they said they've got $20 million to build their concept demonstrator. Sorry, it's really starting to rain out there, guys, but unfortunately I am underneath a covered space. They claim they have enough runway. They are still hiring. And these aren't, people that they're hiring at McDonald's at minimum wage. These are highly skilled individuals that they're bringing on board to fill extremely important and critical positions at this phase of their development. So I mean, if the stock jumped up to $10 or something, and they were like, yeah, we're going to take 50, now we're I mean, what would that make their market cap? Probably 400 million or 350 million. I mean, if they diluted and pulled out 50 million at that point, I'd be like, great, you're doing what you have to do. Now, if they came out
I
and
just
said,
think it can turn into a spiral of doom awful quick. Like, you get I don't know, a setback in your timeline, yeah, or and that's going to cost more capital, but then your stock is going to absolutely collapse because you're not going to have enough money to get you to that flight demonstrator, and then the stock sells off. Then you can get into a spiral of doom very, very quickly. Whereas if you have cash on the books, you can protect your stock price. But look, it is what it is. There were helicopters flying non-stop for weeks after the storm, including Chinooks and Ospreys. It was the only way to reach many rural towns. That is wild.
Tom, where are you in North Carolina? I'm curious. It seems like we've got a bunch of people. There was Tom. Tom's apparently in North Carolina. There was another gentleman last week who was in Charlotte. I think I did like an eVTOL like meetup or something here in North Carolina to all of our contingencies in this part of the country.
You're creating little parties here, there, and everywhere, my guy.
Let's do it. Yeah, come on, man. Join the club.
Then Dyke Jackson says, "eVTOL information dump. Let's get that knowledge." Thank you, my guy. Joby also is starting the demonstration at the World Expo in Osaka, starting October 1st, and we will be covering that. They already performed a test HOVR at Osaka. Yeah, Travis shared a nice video of that.
Travis made a really good point about how on that video, you could hear a helicopter in the background, and as the the Joby ended, it got the impression that that helicopter, the noise from that helicopter was from the Joby. But then when the Joby came in and landed and stopped and shut its fans off, that sound persisted, and it just personified the fact that you couldn't hear the Joby over the sound of the helicopter.
It is
It's a
wild.
very quiet. It is a very, very quiet platform. It's going to be amazing.
Then Ricardo says bought HOVR in May at 49 cents, but sold now. Invest in Archer and Joby for the long term. Good luck to everyone who invested. Do you know what? That's solid return. That's what, like 5x. Do you know what? I feel like Archer and Joby, I don't want to call any of them a safe investment, but there's so much safer. I still think you have a lot of growth in that portfolio. So I can see why you've done that, my guy. Ken says, hi Liam. Does Archer have a plan to change to tilt rear rotors like Joby's? Why is Archer unable to do a full piloted flight demonstration? Are they hiding a massive design flaw? Do you know what? You directed that question at the wrong man, because we have a aerospace engineer beside us, so I'm not going to butcher this answer. Mark, do you want to explain?
Yeah. So there, and that is a very, very astute observation. We have basically been following that that design aspect of the Archer aircraft, especially when they've gone from the 2-rotor to the 4-rotor in the rear. I personally think having a rear pusher that tilts down and then provides thrust through all phases of the flight is to Archer's benefit. I personally think I think if Archer came out and said, we are doing a design change, this is and we're going to change just gears a bit, this is what we need to be competitive, and they announced it's going to be a 3-month slip in the schedule, it may be a bit of a slip in the stock price, but it would be far more worth doing that right now and being transparent with not only investors but just the entire eVTOL space, and then move forward with it. Unless, because I really think what's going to end up happening, and I know Dylan doesn't like to hear this, but I think Joby's design is just a better design from an aerodynamic efficiency perspective. Archer's design and all of these designs where you have rotors on booms that are articulating, if you're not articulating all of those rotors into the slipstream once you're in wingborne flight, you're taking an enormous drag penalty, which is only gonna limit you in capabilities in terms of range. So we'll see what they come out with. They've been quiet for a while.
Yeah, I'll fully back them if they come out and they be fully transparent and they say,
Yep.
look, design change needed, this will push us back 3, 6 months, 9 months. It doesn't really bother me. What would bother me is if they try and sweep it under the carpet and keep pushing out CTOL PR and just try and like hide it that they're trying to do this redesign, and then Joe becomes certified, and then it's I don't know, 3 or 4 runs calls down the road. Oh yeah, we've actually decided we're redesigning the site. No, just decide now.
Yeah, Liam and I were discussing this on yesterday when we on a private chat, and it's like right now this almost feels like it's a political debate where we as investors and we as the public, and all of us on this channel are the moderators of that debate, and Joby is one side and Archer is the other. So we have questions, or Joby comes out and presents a design capability, immediately all of us want to be like, okay, Archer, what is your response? Can you beat that?
Yeah.
Can you top that? And there's this back and forth between both of these companies that we're in right now, because they're really the only two. The primaries are over. and we are down right now when it comes to certification and meeting target dates for target events, particularly next summer with the World Cup, and then we've got the Olympics coming up in 2028. Those are the, we're in this unique design cycle where it's where if one company comes out and shows off a capability, immediately the other competing company needs to respond.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with responding with, we don't have that capability, but we are doing a change to now be competitive. I would tip my head off a lot more if that were the case.
Well, Archer have done so well to make it this far and get this close to Joby as it is. No one is going to be against them for, look, we didn't get our design fully right. Let's change. The only thing I don't want to happen is it like a presidential debate where, look, Joby does this, and then it's right. We kind of can do this. We sort of do this, and it's like, nah. If you can't do it, just change it up. Gregory Sight says, I still don't trust Archer. Look, I don't not trust them. They're actually the biggest part of my portfolio now. I've started loading pretty heavily on Archer. I just think at the moment, the stock's being beaten down so much. I genuinely think the only people investing in Archer Aviation, I said this in the video, the only people investing in Archer Aviation at the moment are people that were already invested in Archer Aviation. You're not getting that many more new investors in. Now, Cathie Wood seems to be adding quite a bit. I did do a video about 9 months ago at this stage, Cathie Wood's holdings of Archer, and we actually done the top 5 institutional holders of Archer and Joby. I might actually redo that video to update on it. No, Fairview.
Yeah, Fairview, North Carolina. I know exactly where that's at. I'm actually spending the night in Nashville tonight. So, Tom, reach out to me on X and let's. Oh, okay, yeah. Tom is the one with the brewery in Asheville. Yeah. All right. Let's plan that. I'll do an EVTOL live from Tom's brewery. Reach out to me on X, Tom, and we'll coordinate this.
Then we have Ken, got that right. Timmy, big shout out, my guy. He's actually very heavily invested in the eVTOL industry. He's heaviest in Joby, but his Archer position, I'd say, is bigger than quite a few investors' Archer's position. And then he's quite big in Horizon Aircraft as well. I'm not going to say the exact figure, but I promise you, I do know off the top of my head how much you're up already, my guy. You said it last day. So Joby is very useful for disaster extraction. Tom says, some more negative news from Supernal on Friday, unfortunately. Reportedly, more high-level leaders have left the company.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Supernal I don't know if I even got out of the starting block. But with that said, if you look at their design concept, I think for the rotor boom design on wing, or boom on wing, and then a rotor on either end, Supernal was going the right direction. And I think all these companies should follow that suit.
Guys, 94 in the chat at the moment. Do smash that like button. Also, oh my God, this is a good one. Right, so yes, we've been talking about Horizon and off a lot recently, but would you guys, this is a stupid question, would you guys want us to interview Archer or Joby? Would you guys want us to interview Adam or Joe Ben? Only way we're going to do it is have a big enough platform to do it. Guys, smash the subscribe button. We're aiming to get to, well, no, Mark has said a different figure. I said 5,000 by Christmas. Mark doubled it for me and said 10,000 by Christmas. But guys, let's see how far we can get. Do smash the subscribe button. Also, follow me on X. I'm trying to grow my X. So do follow me on X and follow Mark. Mark has quite a few things in the pipeline. You're definitely going to want to check him out. Then, Christian White, big shout out. You comment on all the videos, my guy. What's up? I would hold your Archer shares. Everyone was saying that yesterday in the comments. Will they sell the Archer shares to each other? Timmy says, I believe a lot more companies will jump on the Joby and ACHR wagon after certification. And that's what Brandon
Without a
said in his
doubt.
recent interview. It's so much easier, so much less capital intensive for the eVTOL 2.0 companies. And what about when we get the eVTOL 3.0 companies when everything is just completely ironed out? It's more or less black and white what they can and can't do and get that certification done. Then Gregory said, I had a considerable position last year. Then after the whole sketchy Jimmy Fallon skit, I dropped them and went fully into Joby. Do you know what? I actually don't think that Jimmy Fallon thing, I think that was blown a bit out of proportion a little bit, wasn't it?
I need to go back and just watch it so I have a reference. I'll be honest, I've never even seen it.
What happened then? It was like only like a day later or 2 days later, a massive short report came out and it just tanked the stock completely. And then it's just been on a downward spiral since then. Look, I think Arch is being pretty beaten up at the moment. That's why
It
I
has
told you
been,
guys, I'm
yeah.
just going to keep
And
buying it.
remember this too. Like you look at the positives of what Archer has. Archer's moving forward in certification. They have all the people in place to get certified. They've got the money to do it. And Archer has got the banking of Stellantis, at least at this point, which brings forward mass production. And they've sunk a lot of money into a new building in Covington, Georgia, that they can expand out of. So once Archer gets to certification, they can scale very quickly.
Well, that's the
So
thing.
all of these are
Covington,
good signs.
Georgia, at max ramp up, they reckon it'll be 950, and they reckon they can expand that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what? Joby will be pushing out the 50 S4, even if they doubled it the following year and said we're pushing out 100 S4. So that'd be 150 S4 ready to come out by the time Arch should be ready for certification if it was pushed back by a year.
Yeah,
150.
Joby scaling will have to come out with additional news to state, yes, this is and show this is what our how we will scale, because right now they talk about this facility in Ohio, but that facility it's my understanding right now it's just a parts facility where they're making parts, and at the end of the day you can buy an old UPS warehouse, but if you really want to mass produce, it's ideal to build a custom assembly line and an assembly production line to do that. And I think they would need to do that.
Guys, this is an interesting one for you. So we have Archer and Joby. We know Joby's going to get there first. Who do you think will be first to 10,000 aircraft produced? Chat, do let me know. And don't just go Joby because they're starting first. Do genuinely think about it, hand on heart, think about it. Who will be first to 10,000 aircraft produced?
That's a big haul.
Yeah.
10,000 aircraft will be a lot of aircraft.
Timmy says that would be awesome to have Joe Ben tell his testimony on how he got in the business. Do you know what? I'm going to find it again. I found an old interview where when Joe Ben was first starting out, Joby actually asked Elon a question at a conference. Joe Ben's in the crowd, and he said about electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, and Elon, he didn't shoot him down, but he was more or less like, I don't know. And then he was like, he has a plan for a long trip electric plane in his head. And it was kind of completely different to what Joe Ben was actually asking him about. So it's just quite impressive how even Elon dismissed that at the very start. And look how close Joe Ben is now. You are not wrong, Gregory. I'll hold my shares, but not proud of Fallon. I don't know. We jumping on it a bit too much about Fallon. Look, it was good PR. Setting up an X now. I made it this far in life without Twitter. Do you know what? I never had a Twitter myself up until a year ago. And Mark, did you have a Twitter before we?
I set up a Twitter account back like 10 years ago and then forgot how to use it. I'm at that age where like I really only know Facebook, and I still like try to just communicate with people on Facebook and anybody like new hires that that are coming into the workforce and stuff. And I say, well, are you on Facebook? And they look at me like I'm a leper because they only use Instagram or they use X and stuff. So I do have an account, and certainly if people want to reach out to me personally, definitely reach out to me on X. But I need to start creating my own content and on X as well.
No, I genuinely, once I promised myself I'm going to be serious about this channel, I deleted Facebook, I deleted Instagram, and I only use X anymore. It's just such a great platform. Now, you have to tailor it yourself. You don't want any of them dodgy videos coming up of all this bad news happening. Just click not interested on it. Once you have it tailored, like my X is imperfect at the moment because I get all the ACHR, Joby, Horizon, Rocket Lab news. No, I have nothing but good words to say about it. Ken said, I would guess Joby would get to 10,000 first if Toyota builds for them. I trust Toyota over Stellantis. Also, realistically, would ACHR be fully certified by 2026? Don't get it twisted, though. I think people get quite confused. I don't think Toyota is going to build their aircraft for them. I think they're going to help them, but I don't think they're going to build them for them.
I think if any of these companies want to scale, they're going to have to scale internationally. If you look at like Lockheed Martin with the F-35 program, at the very, very beginning of that program, it was they're going to build a facility. They were going to have a full assembly line in Italy so that they could, deliver and scale up. I really think that would have to be the case. I think either can do it. Just you're going to have to model your same assembly line. All of those processes transfer over, and then you just have to train a workforce. Fortunately, for any of these companies, we're going into a new paradigm shift of manufacturing where you're going to have a lot more robotics. So you're going to buy a whole bunch of robots, and you're going to train them, and they're going to speed up that process to scale, in my opinion. But I think just having one facility, it's not like the General Motors plant in Tennessee where a car comes off the line every 50 seconds. You're going to have to. It takes a lot of time, especially with composites. Like you can't get around. You gotta bake composites. Those parts, even though it takes time for a fiber placement machine to lay that stuff up. And unless you're going to
they don't
have
have a mass manufacturing facility in the UAE yet. Or even plans for one in the UAE. Especially, I would expect them to go for mass adoption pretty quickly. I don't know, guys. Where do you think the best place for additional manufacturing facilities would be? Do you think inside the US? Do you think you need a number more? Yes, we are going to need a number more, but would you like to see them start expanding in the US first? Would you like an international expansion like Mark is saying? Do let us know. Christian says, X. Christian, I have Lockheed Martin shares as well. They are getting contracts.
Lockheed will always get contracts, yeah.
Kratos is flying up at the moment. They actually released a new UAV. Kind of scared me a little bit because I'm in Redwire and they've just bought Edge Autonomy. And when Kratos is snapping at your heels, it doesn't vouch well, does it? Guys, anyone invested in ONDS, Ondas Holdings, drone company? Do let me know. US first, Christian wants. Right, we actually done a poll last week. I actually want to bring that up on the personal EVTOL. And you know what? Mark didn't even need to run this poll because he told me what the result will be before the poll even went out. I'll have to jump on and get it here.
Yeah, I think I saw it. It was 94%.
Yeah, 94%
to the positive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I said, guys, last week is, would you, if you could, buy your own personal eVTOL that you could land in your backyard and you didn't need a pilot license for. It was fully autonomous, like an FSD. You can see with Tesla. What if you had your own personal eVTOL? Would you buy it? 94% said they would. Mark, have you anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I guess I would add just that most likely, if I were designing it, I would be going the likes of Brandon, and it would not be an eVTOL, it'd be an HVTOL. So it's interesting. I think we will see a shift. Joby and Archer right now with their design and their certification. The aircraft that they're certifying is for inner city urban mobility. But as soon as these aircraft get certified and they get into the consciousness of just the public, I think the public is going to start saying, okay, I want to go further. And right then we're going to be pumping hover. And I mean, they could come out. I think the challenge is like they are coming out with hybrids, and they say that for military purposes, they'll be doing hybrids. To go from the hybrid design, to go from all electric to hybrid, I think is more of a push and a design change than to go from hybrid to all electric. So, for example, in 10 years, when battery density is twice what it is today, it would be very easy to take a hover and just put a, a motorized pusher in the rear and add a few more batteries compared to changing your entire architecture to go to a hybrid. So, yeah, more to be announced on that. But little tidbit is, I'm running some numbers myself on what 2 4-seater would look like, how far it could go, hybrid.
Guys, what are your thoughts? You excited about hearing more and more about different thoughts Mark has around a hybrid eVTOL? Do let us know. Do you know what? Mark hit on it there. So again, any of you Horizon investors, ears up now. What I like to do when I invest in companies, I like to, I don't know, break down. Look, loads of you on this channel probably think I'm bearish about all of your stocks. Look, I hold every single one that you think I'm bearish on as well. That's what makes me laugh. Apart from like EHang and stuff like that, I don't know that. But Horizon Aircraft, I was like, right, I'm getting so excited about Horizon. I need to like think of like what are the downsides to it. So me and Mark had a private call, and I did say, I was like, look, we're at that stage now where the batteries aren't good enough, but we know that the batteries eventually will be good enough. Hybrid for the next 10 years might be amazing, but in reality we'll probably have to convert to a fully electric in the long term. And I said to Mark, like, how hard is that to change all your hybrid aircraft to fully electric? And Mark literally said it's just like taking out the engine and just putting the battery into it. He said it's not that hard at all. So straight away, that's bear case destroyed. Horizon will last way longer than 10 years, my guys. Because in my head, genuinely, I was like, at the moment, say investing in Tesla 10 years ago, you would have been like, oh, but electric cars, will they go to full adoption? And you'd be like, even nowadays, you're like, oh, is it better to go fully electric? You better to go hybrid. But yet, I know in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, you won't really be hearing that much about the hybrids because it will be all fully electric. And that's why I was like, I don't know. Yeah, great point.
And on that same topic, look at what an airplane looked like in the beginning of the 1930s or the end of the 1920s, and what an aircraft looked like in the 1940s, like during World War II. And then to add to that, look at what an aircraft looked like in the 1950s or the late, like we went from the P-51 Mustang and like Messerschmitt, sorry, I'm murdering that, German aircraft, German technology, Japanese technology, and then the ushering in of the jet age. This is, in my opinion, this is an ushering in of a new age of mobility, and that mobility is going to be, one pillar of it will be electrification, and hybridization and electrification, and then the other pillar will be autonomy. And it'll be revolutionary. We are just like the dawn's early morning light is just breaking on a whole new day of what is in store for all of us.
Like, that's the thing. Like, autonomy, that's where it actually gets scary for the likes of a Tesla or so. Look, I'm not saying Archer or Joby or Horizon or anything or any threat to the likes of Tesla. But would you see Tesla start entering the market if you start getting these autonomous air taxis? Because straight away, you now have something quicker than a car, can go absolutely anywhere. It does it itself. You can sit back. I don't know. It's a wild one.
I think they'll start to complement each other. And I want to say this too. You hear this a lot, flying cars. A Joby is not a flying car, and an Archer is not a flying car. eVTOLs are not flying cars because you're not going to be driving them on the freeway or in
Take a
or pulling them. You're not going to land them in a Walmart and taxi it around and get in an accident with a Tesla or a Dodge Ram or something. The concept of flying cars and like flying vehicles and cars just don't mix, because if you ding the flying vehicle, it is a much bigger issue in terms of its airworthiness, compared to when you could smash up your car, and if it still drives, you drive it home with a sad face. If you ding up an airplane, even if it's hangar rash, most likely it's not going to fly for a couple of weeks and it's going to need some repair. Um, and flying cars just don't make sense. So I think autonomous cars and full self-driving cars are going to obviously become a very, very big player, and a paradigm shift in we'll call it 2D mobility. And VTOLs, whether they are electric or hybrid, will be an equal paradigm shift in 3D mobility. I would say this: I could see Tesla and SpaceX getting involved in some sort of a VTOL aircraft for Mars and exploring Mars.
Kathy Wood said that.
I
Kathy
would see
Wood
that.
said it would be much better if we could go back in time now with the likes of roads.
Mhm.
Why would we rebuild Mars and do all these roads where you have twists and turns, you have to where you can just fly over it? Or why wouldn't you just go
Mhm.
underground and you could have many straight lines rather than having to intersect
Mhm.
and worry about traffic?
Yeah. If you've ever been to Norway, you see how, I mean, Norway is unbelievable with how they tunnel through everything. Like you'll go from one fjord to another fjord, and you'll be in this tunnel for 10 minutes, and you're hauling through this tunnel, and all of a sudden you pop out, and it was pouring rain on one side and cloudy and gloomy, and you get on the other side and it's sunny and beautiful, and there's this, you're just in this other fjord. So yeah, you can either tunnel or you can fly.
Then, okay. So Christian likes the hybrid idea. Timmy says, "I have Dragonfly stock." Timmy, maybe Saudis or UAE will help in production. Stellantis ruined or Dodge and the
Dodge,
redesign.
yeah.
Joby is better than Archer. Ooh, controversial subject. I don't want to get bitten in here. Not gonna lie. I have what 100 people in here. No, I don't want people turning on me. Anyone having the HEMITIC in the engine will agree with me.
Oh, that's Hemi. That's a type of engine with Dodge.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. Like if you've got a Dodge Ram, it most likely has. Oh, and he's saying the Hemi tick. Like I have a Dodge Ram. I drive a Dodge Ram, and it has this tick. The tick for mine is the exhaust manifold, like the stud break, and then it has a small exhaust leak in the manifold. So when you first start it up, it gives this ticking sound. But I think there's something also internal with some of the Hemis that they have this tick, and if it develops that tick, it can be catastrophic to the engine.
Oh yeah.
Gregory, correct me on that if I'm wrong, but mine has ticked for as long as I've owned it, and it's just because the exhaust manifold leaks.
Ricardo says, I have on that stock. Thanks for the recommendation from Gene Inga a few months ago, and he just recommended Red Cat. Red Cat's a decent one to look into as well. Ondas do quite excite me. I've been trying to do a bit of research on them. Look, I'm not invested in them at the moment, but I might open a position and start making content on them. Hybrids could be better for remote off-grid locations. That was a use case Brandon actually said in one of his interviews was to start reusing regional airports. Because he said for efficiency wise, the major airlines don't use these airports, and on average, people are in the US are within like 2 hours of these international airports, where it's 15 to 30 minutes the average time to your closest regional airport. So it'll just be a lot smoother. Tom says electric propulsion is extremely flexible and modular. You can virtually plug and play any power generation or storage source, hydrogen, gas turbine, batteries, etc. Don't get me wrong.
Hydrogen's difficult. I could actually see. It's interesting. My brother and I had a conversation about this because he's an electrical engineer. We are a petrol based, we're a gasoline and oil based society. Obviously, that's a depleting asset, but at one point we were discussing a methanol, actually being methanol based. Hydrogen is difficult just because that's a hard infrastructure and it's extremely energy intensive. Granted, it's very clean if we could, like, if fusion were possible, like fusion would change everything, because then we could just produce hydrogen, we could become a hydrogen based society, and everything that we could all of these aircraft could be hydrogen fuel cells. It would be amazing. But that's a big push to get to that next paradigm shift of power generation.
Then Gregory says, don't get me wrong, Archer's won the visual design won, but Joby's engineering is way ahead. Look, again, I'd be quite careful, even the visual design wise and even engineering wise, as long as Archer can get an aircraft certified that works. Look, Toyota Corolla, Honda Civic, as long as they get you from A to B, I don't think the consumer cares too much about what it looks like or if one has a far superior performance than the other.
Yeah, that's a good point, because to the common public, it's going to be the experience. We see this a lot in just aircraft, in the aircraft industry as an engineer, when you're designing, say, a private jet. Engineers get so locked in on the internals of the aircraft and just the design of the aircraft, but in the C-suite, what their biggest concern is just how loud is the cabin and what is the customer experience. And that is going to be the play for the general public, is just what is their customer experience. They probably won't think too much of how it looks, as long as the experience is a good experience and improves their quality of life.
Like, it's one of those, it could be a controversial one to say, but like, do you really mind if you fly in an Airbus or a Boeing when you go anywhere?
Yeah, a lot of times you don't know the difference.
No.
Mm-hmm.
SRFM knows how to get electric part down. Please don't bring up ALF Aeronautics, Mark. It's even
Never
less.
heard of it.
It's even less practical than an EHang.
I've never even heard of it, so I'll have to research it now that he mentions it.
Palantir is helping SIFM prove that, Christian White. I totally see Tesla doing that. Big bag, my friend. How are we getting on? They had an autonomous solar-powered eVTOL drone on Mars already.
It did, yep.
Gentry spacecraft. Atlantis redesigned the Hemi after 2016 design stars oil at idle to lifters in the rear portion of the engine. Needed bearings in lifters fail and grind that came.
Okay, that was the Hemi tick. Yeah, I bought a 2017, so my tick is just the exhaust manifold leaking. But yeah, I remember that being an issue.
Then Christian White agreed. Joby has a 20 plus lower decibel noise coming off the propellers. Yeah, I might actually redo a video on that. Joby's really went for the acoustic design as well. I think
It did.
what was his name? Done a site tour. This is a few years back. I forget his name.
There's video out that you can listen to, and Joby released this as almost a PR campaign where you got different aircraft flying over. They did a noise study, and you have like, a twin engine, you have a helicopter, and then you have a Joby flyover, and it is significantly different. It was Jobin's push to try to make a Joby flying over sound like the wind in the trees.
Aleph is going the flying car route.
Yeah. Good luck.
Ken said, if you could cite Joby's biggest weakness, what would it be?
Their range.
Yeah, range. I would have said
it's all electric. Their range.
I would have said at the moment, and people are going to jump on me straight away and say, "Oh yeah, but they have Toyota backing them, whatever." I think manufacturing they need to come out and explain to us exactly how they plan to mass produce these S4s. That'd be my biggest thing. Apart from that, to be fair, they are ticking all boxes. Like, there's not much you can actually take away from Joby. They're doing it right. Brandon came out and said that in Matan's interview, that for their use case, they're doing it right. He believes strongly in the hybrid model, but he said for an old electric vehicle, they're doing it right.
Yeah.
And then, Christian said this a few times: space for luggage.
I believe both aircraft have luggage compartments. Like I've seen spots where they talk about Joby has a separate compartment for luggage.
That's the only thing. I think we focus too much on luggage sometimes. Like, look, if you ordered an Uber for 4 people and again a Civic pulled up, you ain't gonna fit 4 20-kilo suitcase. And how many times are you traveling around with a 20-kilo suitcase, really? I know loads of these will be based around airports, so you're gonna say, yeah, but that's what they'll be operating in. But I don't know. It's not something that has really concerned me so far.
Yeah, I think if you're that type of person that shows up with 100 pounds of bags, you're going to pay the penalty, and they're
You're
going
a
to
prick anyway,
they're going to be like, all right, well, we're taking 2 Jobies because we can only fill this one half up with your bags. So it'll be like in Spaceballs.
You get the boss.
Yeah. Or you'll have to take a hover. A hover can take 7 people.
Yeah, there you go.
The hover will have enough to take your bags.
Or you could have a Cavra X5 following you.
There you go. You could have that as well. Yeah.
Tom Mycelli says, keep in mind Joby is working with L3 Harris on a craft with a gas turbine hybrid powertrain.
They are.
Another thing, do you know in an aircraft, if you're getting in an aircraft like a Boeing 737 or something, with stuff like that, sometimes you might actually have, say, like your big luggage goes on the plane and it gets transported by whatever, a tractor or whatever. Could you just have a cargo Joby just packing in bags and just follow along
Yeah,
with
you could.
it?
You certainly could. Like I said, it'll be like in Spaceballs where, you're going across the desert and you've got this enormous chest and it's got nothing but a huge hair dryer in it. And
uh,
and you're gonna have the Joby or the Archer that's gonna be carrying the people, and then you're gonna have the one following it. Anything's possible with time and money.
Christian White
You get
said,
one or the other.
when my wife and I travel, we bring a lot of stuff. We normally fly first class. You tell me, lol, my guy. I've never flown first class in my life. I've never flown business class in my life. Um, I'll be flying first class when I'm sitting beside Mark there, and he's nose diving towards the ground just to
No,
up a
no,
bit.
there'll be none of that.
Guys, is there anything else you want to ask us? Do you know what? 11:15 here. If you want to jump in, ask us a question, please do. 105, you dead, do smash the like button. Do smash the subscribe button. We're so close, 3,200 right now. We're growing. We're going to get Joe Ben. We're going to get Adam. We were this close to getting Adam before. This close. It was before this whole industry took off. We were in talks with ACHR. And what?
I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna have to show up at their facility. Let's do a live.
Yeah.
Once I get this live stream figured out with my airplane, I flew up to North Carolina last night, and I was watching the Penn State Oregon football game the entire way because my Starlink was working. So I would love to do a live stream where we just fly to the airport and
We're here.
pull up on the ramp and be like, all right, Archer, whether you like it or not, the Hustle Brothers are coming. So either give us the interview, or we're gonna
We're just going to
we're
show up
gonna
anyway.
or we're gonna form our own observation. We're gonna form our own opinion based off of our
If not, we'll
observations.
just interview someone in
So
the canteen and they can tell us the
that's
answers.
right. That's right. We're gonna do jaywalking. We'll go into Covington and just walk around and ask people, what do you think of Archer?
Christian, it will change your life. What, first class? My
First
guy.
class, yeah. I flew first class once. It's quite nice.
Good, yeah.
So
Bag of holding, the average American man is 199 pounds. Jesus, you guys are big, because I'm lighter
yeah, we're
than
getting fat.
199 pounds, my guy. And I would call myself on the heavier side over here, not gonna lie. No, I am 6'2", so I don't know.
Yeah. I'm like 5'9" and 190. So yeah, we're fat over here.
The average American man is 199 pounds, so it can carry 5 naked. Mate, you come out with some cracking comments. It can carry 5 naked men with no suitcases if they can lift what they claim they will. You should put a video of ALIF Aeronautics test flight for comic relief. Do you know what?
Okay, let's take a look at it. Yeah.
What I'll do, what is it? ALIF
Aeronautics. Yeah, let's make a note of it so we can look it up.
What in the name of... It genuinely is like a flying car. Okay, let me bring this up.
Oh, I think I've seen this. Yeah. You are one rotor failure away from catastrophe in that thing.
That is insane, my guy.
Yeah.
Guys, would you fly in one of them?
That has been designed before. They, back in the '60s, we were testing out a lot of ducted fan designs and stuff where they were doing stuff like that. And that just 2 fans, and that's all you get. You have you're one stress crack away from just catastrophic death.
Oh. And Bag, don't fly in one of these because I need you around when Joby and Archer are actually flying. I
and
need
lifting
you
all their
on
and
camera
lifting
with me, my
5
guy.
naked bodies. Yeah.
I actually would pay for you to come down and fly in one with me. We'll do a video together, my guy, of us drinking champagne together and you giving me a big apology on why you believe it wouldn't happen. And you know what? I'll even put on a bit of extra weight so I'm over 199 pounds. Just to prove it. I won't be naked, so don't worry about that one, my guy. But there we go. Anyone that just entered the stream, it's wild. Joby purchased a H2 Fly German hydrogen engine manufacturer in 2021. Ken says, I'm bullish on Archer, but honestly doubting them a lot recently, especially when I see Joby doing so well. How about you guys? Look, I think you need to think of it in 2 completely different businesses. I put out a video yesterday on why people sell Archer Aviation and why you shouldn't be one of them if that is your only reason for selling. And if your only reason for selling is Joby's performing better at the moment, but Joby is further ahead, and it's just we're comparing it too early. Don't worry about it. I think just learn as much as you can about what you're already invested in. If you want to invest in Joby as well, I like not financial advice, but if Mark asked me, I would advise to get as many hats into the ring because my thought is I don't want to have got the industry right and have like this big booming industry that I could have made so much money in, but I got the company wrong. So look, and just because Joby's this, I'm not saying nothing bad's going to happen to Joby, but you don't know financially or something could come up down the line. They're not a complete safe bet. So just I'd spread my risk across the industry. Tom Mycelli says, no Bags talking about 5 naked men. My God, this stream does turn sometimes. I'm 165 pounds. Do you know what? You are a light man, my guy.
Yeah, Christian, you're in good shape.
Do you know what? Me and Mark need to go down there and we'll go train.
Yeah, Christian's I think in Charlotte, if that's correct. I think we need to get me, Tom, and Christian all together.
That'd be wild.
Yeah.
Bag of Holden, there are some whales
And anybody else that's in this area.
Bag says there's some whales that bring up the average. There must be quite a few to bring up the average, my guy. Is that real? No. Don't die naked. The Department of Defense probably funded that. If I can find me a Kit Fox 7 with wing slats, that will be about as close to a VTOL as I'll get.
Kit Fox is a STOL airplane.
Bag of Holden. My girlfriend paid to fly me first class one time, and I fell asleep, so I didn't notice the difference. Do you know what? I would actually love to like sit and like one day just chat to you, my guy, because you actually are a cracker. I love it. Death Smiles is 285 pounds, but he is 6'5". But to be fair, yeah, if you're 6'5".
Death Smiles, I need you on my football team. So.
285, you're a strong
Death
guy.
Smiles, come with us when we go to Archer. And so if we get any grief on the ramp, we're all gonna hide. You can be our muscle.
We don't even have to stand aside; he'll just tower above us. Like.
Yeah. By the way, Death Smiles, great live that you had with Matan and I think the guys had the same group. Yeah, Anthony.
Yeah, guys, do check out some of the content Death Smiles does put out. He's quite active on Reddit. Now, look, I'm not a man for Reddit. I don't like it. I don't particularly like it whatsoever, but it was only because some of you guys wanted me to start posting the videos on Reddit. So I did start again. But Deathsmiles is quite active on there, so do check them out. And that's nothing against Deathsmiles. That's not why I don't like Reddit. Ricardo says, do you think Archer is undervalued and maybe catch up with Joby after the FAA approvals? I think it's undervalued at the moment. Do you think they'll catch up with Joby after?
I think it's gonna be a function of is Joby going to take off? I mean, it's hard to say. Look at the race in market cap between Joby and Archer just 6 months ago. Archer was far ahead of Joby. You know, Archer was $11-12 and Joby was sitting at $7.50. So these things can kind of flip back and forth. I think as you get further along in as both of them get further along in certification, if they don't have any huge delays in their design process, I think both, you know, it's just going to be a rising tide for everybody.
Then Christian says, lol, Mixie Phil, big shout out my guy. Joby is targeting the ever-growing demographic of horse jockeys going vegan. What?
Okay.
Deathsmiles, I've actually got one for you. We'll be speaking to Brandon very, very soon. I know you had a few questions you want us to bring up to him. If you've any additional ones you want asked, do hit me up with them. Also, guys, not now because I can't see the comments after the stream. After the stream ends. But when the stream ends, if there's any questions you want us to ask Brandon, drop them into the comments and we'll try our best to get them answered for you. Dyke Jackson says the world is a big place. Enough room at the table for all of them. Preach. On a serious note, there is a feedback loop. What happens with weight in aircraft? More weight requires more power to lift, which requires more energy storage and more weight. That is wild.
It's a fine balance.
Plenty of room if money is
Excuse me.
there. For sure, I will hit you up. Thanks for the heads up, man. No problem, my guy. Stay in contact, my guy, and we will try our best to get it answered. That we can. I can't guarantee we'll get an answer if it's not public information. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Is there any word on how close Archer is to completing the free conforming airframes to complete the FAA tests?
I think we're going to be listening. That's going to be an announcement at earnings.
Yeah.
Unless they, and if they'll have to address it at earnings unless they can show it prior to earnings, is my take. So if they have an answer to the positive, they'll announce it prior to earnings.
Tom says, I believe Midnight weighs around 800 to 1,000 pounds more than the S4. Yeah, me and Mark were speaking about that yesterday, so I was kind of right. I said I think it's around 1,000 pounds. But yeah, 800 to 1,000 does sound about right. Matan, big shout out, my guy. Great interview with Brandon. Do you know what? You asked some very, very good questions. I was very impressed with that interview. That is probably the best Horizon interview I've seen. So guys, if you haven't, make sure to check out Matan. Also, bang the subscribe for Matan. He covers Horizon Aircraft. He's probably as active in Horizon Aircraft as we are. So guys, he goes into extreme detail. My videos are only like 5-10 minutes long. He goes into heavy detail, and he does have some really nice live streams with Deathsmiles and Anthony. So yeah, guys, do check him out. Christian, common for flying on a helicopter, they weigh you and seat you to balance. They weigh you on a helicopter, my guy. I would not be stepping on no helicopter if they're weighing me, my guy. I'd be like, no. Do I have to get naked?
A helicopter can't be trimmed like a large aircraft can be.
But
it's the same thing on airplanes too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna have to step on the scales before we get in your
No,
plane.
I'll just dump half the gas out and we'll be good to go. So
Right, guys. This has been a lot of fun. We kept over 100 people in the stream the whole time. Absolutely love it. Do smash like and way out. Hit the subscribe button. We are growing to 5,000 before Christmas. Mark's looking for 10. Let's try get 10. Right, guys. Until same time next week. Also, jump into comments after this stream. Let me know. Are you happy with me doing everyday videos around the eVTOL industry? Right, guys. Until next week.